Neurogenic tremor is the forgotten language between the body and expanded consciousness. While you suppress every involuntary vibration in your body, decades of tension crystallize in your nervous system, creating a silent overload that not even the deepest rest can dissolve. Ancient traditions have always recognized the power of a trembling body in healing rituals. But it was Dr. David Berceli who developed TRE, a somatic therapeutic technique that reactivates this natural release mechanism. By observing populations in war zones, Berceli discovered that all mammals share an instinctive response. They tremble automatically after escaping predators, discharging stored survival energy that, if not released, remains crystallized in the nervous system. You've been conditioned to suppress this primitive biological response, keeping your body in a constant state of alert. In this video, you will understand how TRE consciously activates neurogenic tremors, dissolves patterns of hypervigilance and deep-rooted anxiety, and brings about the rare state of presence that emerges when the body runs its own reset process. More than just a technique, you'll be guided through a practical experience that unloads the nervous system and awakens what we call God mode, not as a concept, but as a restored bodily frequency. This mechanism works through a principle that neuroscience is only beginning to grasp. Trauma is not stored only in the mind. It physically crystallizes in the psoas muscle and deep fascia, creating tension patterns that operate below the threshold of awareness. When Berceli mapped out the 7 TRE exercises, he discovered that fatiguing specific muscle groups allows the nervous system to access primitive discharge states, just like it happens in nature when an animal escapes a predator. However, there is something that completely sets this approach apart from any conventional therapy. The tremors begin at the center of the body and spread organically, following neural pathways that bypass cognitive control. This means you can release trauma you don't even consciously remember, dissolving inherited or long-accumulated energetic loads. By the end of this experience, you won't just understand why your body trembles seemingly at random. During stressful moments, you will master the art of intentionally triggering these tremors. You'll discover how to transform chronic anxiety into vital energy, how to convert restlessness into stable presence, and how to access the neurological state that emerges when decades of overload are finally processed and integrated. This state, God mode, is not a spiritual achievement, but a biological restoration. Your nervous system operating at its original frequency, free from traumatic interference. The wisdom behind these tremors did not begin with modern science. In the sacred caves of ancient Egypt, priests of Thoth recorded observations of bodies vibrating during purification rituals, movements they called the dance of the inner serpent, recognizing a vital force moving through the spine to release what was stagnant. Shamanic traditions across Africa, Australia, and the Americas developed specific dances that induced collective tremors, intuitively understanding that involuntary movement dissolved not only individual tension, but also ancestral memories passed down through generations. The first hermetic teaching that emerges from these practices is profound. The body is not just a vessel for the soul, but its first translator, capable of processing information beyond the reach of the rational mind. In the mysteries of Eleusis, initiates were guided into states where the body trembled spontaneously, revealing the second fundamental principle. True healing does not come through control, but through conscious surrender to natural processes that operate beyond personal will. Medieval alchemists encoded this knowledge in the axiom solve et coagula, to dissolve and reconstitute, understanding that genuine transformation first requires breaking down crystallized structures so that a new order can emerge. What Dr. Berselli rediscovered, therefore, was not an innovative technique, but an ancient language that has always existed. The body's ability to communicate directly with regenerative forces that transcend mental understanding, accessing what the ancients called the medicine of the embodied soul. Berselli's discovery found unexpected validation. When neuroscientists began investigating what happens in the brain during spontaneous tremors, research revealed that the psoas muscle, the same one ancient traditions referred to as the muscle of the soul, is neurologically connected to the brainstem through pathways that bypass the conscious cortex entirely. When this muscle is intentionally fatigued, something fascinating occurs. The autonomic nervous system shifts its frequency, moving from defensive states to regenerative ones without mental interference. The polyvagal theory by Stephen Porges provided the map that explained why tremors work. They literally reboot the neural hierarchy, releasing the dorsal vagal complex, responsible for traumatic freeze responses, and restoring parasympathetic dominance. Neuroplasticity studies show that during these tremor episodes, the brain forms new circuits, rewiring decades of automatic responses in a matter of minutes. The fascia, now understood as an intelligent communication network that connects every cell in the body, vibrates at specific frequencies during this process, transmitting reorganization signals that go beyond any pharmaceutical intervention. Even more intriguing, research in epigenetics shows that inherited trauma imprinted in DNA across generations can quite literally be unimprinted. Through practices that access these primitive discharge states, Berselli had intuited something science took decades to understand. The body holds an internal pharmacy of regeneration, and all it needs is to be activated through the right language. That language is controlled, neurogenic tremors. The protocol that reconnects you to your original somatic intelligence works through 3 sequential activation cycles. The first cycle is called the code of intentional fatigue, a precise sequence that disarms the neuromuscular defenses, keeping trauma crystallized at your core. Start by creating a sacred space where you can fully surrender to the process, free from interruptions or external judgment. The energetic preparation involves 7 specific movements that may look like simple stretches, but in reality, they act as vibrational keys, unlocking deep layers of the psoas muscle. The first movement, ankle rotation, awakens energy circulation at the extremities. The second, lifting the heels until reaching 70% fatigue, activates the venous pump that prepares the entire circulatory system. The third and fourth movements target the thighs and pelvic region, creating micro-openings in the fascia surrounding internal organs. The fifth movement, spinal extension, realigns the spine and prepares the central channel for energy flow. The final 2 movements, wall support and transition to the floor, are the most crucial. They induce controlled fatigue in the muscles that store traumatic memories, creating a neurological window where the nervous system can finally complete interrupted cycles of activation and deactivation. Each exercise should be performed with full presence, as if it were a ritual of reconnection with the body's wisdom that functions beyond the rational mind. Breathing during this phase should not be controlled. Allow it to flow naturally, following the rhythms that arise as the body prepares to access primitive states of release. The goal is not technical perfection, but to create the conditions in which the innate intelligence of your nervous system can take over and perform its own vibrational reprogramming. The second cycle is the activation of neurogenic tremor, the moment where you transcend conscious control and allow primal regenerative forces to take over your body. Lie down with your knees bent and the soles of your feet on the ground. creating a stable, triangular base. The initial position might feel uncomfortable, but this specific tension in the legs is exactly what triggers the ancestral discharge mechanism. When the tremors begin, and they always do, resisting is natural but counterproductive. Your nervous system is performing a neurological dance beneath the threshold of awareness, releasing electrical charges that have been stored for years or even decades. The tremors begin at the center of the body, specifically in the psoas region, and propagate organically through the fascia, following paths that no cognitive therapy can reach. Self-regulation happens by subtly adjusting the position of your knees. Bringing them closer intensifies the tremors. Moving them apart softens the process. You control the intensity, but not the mechanism itself. This is a conscious surrender that allows access to healing states beyond rational understanding. For 5 to 15 minutes, your body carries out a deep energetic cleanse, dissolving tension knots that have kept you locked in outdated defensive patterns. Observing without interfering is the key. Every vibration, every wave moving through your body is unraveling layers of protection that no longer serve your evolution. The mind may try to interpret or control, but true transformation happens when you become a fascinated witness to the somatic intelligence that has always been there, simply waiting for permission to take over. Jareth grew up believing that carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders was the very definition of strength. An executive at a multinational company, he mastered spreadsheets and timelines with surgical precision, but his body had become a prison of unexplained tension. He woke up every day with his jaw clenched tight, shoulders raised as if bracing for a blow that never came, and a constant restlessness that no amount of work could calm. During a critical presentation, something strange happened. His hands began to tremble uncontrollably. It wasn't nerves. It felt as if something deep within him was trying to break free. That night, alone in his apartment, Jareth allowed himself something he had avoided for decades: complete surrender. He lay down on the floor, instinctively following movements his body seemed to remember. And when the tremors began, he didn't resist. For 15 minutes, waves of vibration moved through his spine, dissolving layers of control he didn't even know existed. When it finally stopped, Jareth experienced something he hadn't felt since childhood: the feeling of inhabiting his own body as a home, not just as a vehicle for performance. In the months that followed, his co-workers began to notice an inexplicable shift. His presence had become magnetic, his decisions more intuitive, his leadership naturally inspiring. Jareth discovered that true power doesn't come from absolute control, but from the ability to move fluidly between states of action and receptivity, accessing an intelligence that operates beyond the strategic mind, a frequency of presence that transformed not just his performance, but his entire experience of being alive. Jareth's transformation reveals the greatest obstacle preventing millions of people from accessing this biological technology: the cultural conditioning that interprets trembling as a sign of weakness or loss of control. Since childhood, you've been trained to stay in control, to suppress any bodily expression that appears involuntary or strange. This programming runs so deep that even when your body finally begins to release decades of tension through tremors, the mind steps in with immediate judgment. This is ridiculous. I must be doing it wrong. I need to stop. The fear of losing control is, ironically, what keeps you trapped in patterns of control that drain your vitality. Transmuting this resistance requires a radical shift in perspective, understanding that tremors do not represent a loss of power, but the recovery of energetic authority. When you allow your body to express its ancestral intelligence, You are exercising the highest level of self-mastery, the ability to discern when to control and when to surrender. Begin with short sessions of 5 minutes, observing without expectations, treating each tremor as a signal that your nervous system is finally free to complete processes that have been stuck for years. Remember, you are not breaking down, you are defragmenting. Every vibration that moves through your body is living proof that life is reclaiming the spaces once abandoned to fear. Courage is not about never trembling. It's about allowing the tremor to reveal the strength that has always existed beneath layers of unnecessary protection. What you've discovered on this journey goes beyond techniques or protocols. It is an awakening to a fundamental truth that modern civilization has made you forget. Your body is not just the vehicle of consciousness. It is your first and wisest guide. When you allow neurogenic tremors to move through your system, you are not simply releasing built-up tension. You are restoring an ancestral conversation between your soul and your biology, reconnecting threads that had been severed by decades of conditioning that prioritized performance over presence. TRE revealed something no conventional therapy can reach. There are layers of healing that exist beyond mental comprehension, accessible only through conscious surrender to the regenerative processes that have always lived inside your body. Every tremor you experienced was a silent prayer, a form of direct communication with restorative forces that transcend any external intervention. Peter Levine, a pioneer in the somatic understanding of trauma, reminds us that trauma is not what happens to us, but what we hold inside in the absence of an empathetic witness. Trey offers something even deeper, the ability to become that empathetic witness for yourself, allowing your own body to tell stories your mind could never articulate. God mode is not some mystical, unreachable state. It is simply your biology functioning without the traumatic interference that distorts perception, blocks intuition, and fragments presence. It is the return to your original frequency, where every cell vibrates in harmony with the universal intelligence that orchestrates galaxies and heartbeats with the same sacred precision. When you understand that carrying trauma is optional, that healing is your natural state, and that trembling is simply your body remembering how to dance with life instead of resisting it, something fundamental shifts. You stop searching for yourself, and you start recognizing yourself. If this content deeply resonated with you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. That helps us continue expanding this somatic wisdom that reconnects humanity to its original body intelligence. I want to hear how this technique is transforming your relationship with your own body and releasing deep-seated blocks. Drop a comment below. I activate neurogenic tremors and awaken God mode through my body. This declaration seals your commitment to the forgotten key that releases decades of crystallized tension. Share this video with someone who needs to rediscover that neurogenic tremors may be the key to fully rebooting their nervous system and activating God mode. Click the screen now to explore another transformative piece of content. Every video from Transcend is a different frequency, designed to guide you into uncharted territory of embodied consciousness. And remember, when you understand that the body is not just the temple of the soul, but its first translator, Trey stops being a technique and reveals itself as a language, the silent conversation that has always existed between your biology and the intelligence that moves the stars.